Monica, and I'm the Director of Personnel for the March of Dimes, and I'm here to introduce Miss Mary Gibson. Miss Gibson has worked in a variety of clinical settings over her 35 years in nursing, primarily in maternal child health and community health. She is a double who, having received her undergraduate and master's degree from UVA and her PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. She began teaching in OB and community public health at the University of Virginia School of Nursing in 1997 and currently teaches in the undergraduate and graduate programs here. Ms. Gibson has been a longtime volunteer for the March of Dimes and has worked as a consultant on a recent community-based March of Dimes grant. So this is Ms. Gibson.
So you stuck it out. Can you hear me? First issue. Sounds weird. Hello? No? Maybe I can just try to speak without the microphone. There's something going on here, noise-wise. So, what I wanted to do, focus on, and you'll be glad to know that I don't really have a long presentation, but I do have someone joining me, and I will introduce her when the time comes in this little presentation. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the United States and Virginia, and because I like public health, you have to listen to this. Okay, and everybody has shown pictures that really tear at your heart, and I think that we've heard a lot about how families really are affected by this, by a premature birth like this. And so I'm not going to go on to it anymore, but I just want you to really go away with that this is a really big issue for the families that experience it. So in an average week in Virginia, there are over 2,000 babies born, and 233 of those are preterm. About 170 of them are low birth weight, which might mean that they are close to term or term, but their weight is not quite up to what it ought to be. And 16 babies die before reaching their first birthday. So that's just bringing it to Virginia. If you look at this map, the darker colors, not at the bottom, that just has the county names in case you forgot your county. So the bottom part here shows, that we have a lot of preterm birth and a very high percentage of preterm birth in the in the southern area of Virginia in general, and in the southeastern area specifically. So, it's interesting to think about what are some of the issues that maybe you heard today during the presentations tonight that might influence that. So I know Dr. Boyle talked about a lot of some of the associated factors. So you could be thinking about that. So those dark red areas are over 13% preterm. The pink areas are 11.3 to 13.2, and the really light pink are under 11.3. So that's just bringing it home, so you can see what Virginia looks like. If you look at the United States, and kind of looking at the bigger picture, these are grades that, and this is the most recent data that came out of the March of Dimes about prematurity. So the F's are the red states, and they're in the deep south. And if you look at health over the last 100 years, it's actually not that different, that some of the southern states are the least healthy states. So then if you look at the D states, those are kind of the brownish ones. C's are the yellowish, sort of greenish ones. And we are a C state now, which we just became a C state. I mean, we should be happy. We kind of graduated from D to C in the last year. So, and then the most healthy states are the B's and the A's, which are the blue and the kind of purple states. And then we only have one A state. Anybody here from Vermont? Okay, that's one of the states that has the best preterm birth rate. Okay, so I want to take you to Virginia's data again, which is really recent. Again, if you go to this website, you can click on the state, as I'm doing, and you can see that preterm birth rate of 11.4%. That's just a little under every 8 babies is being born premature in Virginia. Our goal, the new March of Dimes goal, is 9.6%. And if you are familiar with Healthy People 2020, Healthy People 2010, they had made rates as low as 7.5%, 7.6%, but they have adjusted them up so that we don't look like such a failure. You know, I think by having a 9.6% goal, it actually gives us something that we might actually achieve. You know. And one state did. So there you go. We can look at Vermont. And again, just to kind of carry this just briefly farther, some of these factors that we have talked about, uninsured women, smoking women, and late preterm birth, are all actually going down, ever so slightly, but they are going down. So we have something to be hopeful about. Actually, my part of this whole presentation is kind of hopeful, because I want you to go away thinking that we really do have resources for a lot of these families. Okay, and that's just repeating what we just said. C now up from a D. So I really want to focus for a few minutes on resources that we do have available for families that do have babies that are preterm, that maybe are NICU survivors. We have programs in our own community in Charlottesville that are quite, really quite sophisticated. And other areas of Virginia have programs as well. We happen to be a very resource-rich town, and so we have a lot of resources for these families. One of them is the Infant and Toddler Connection, which is for children who have altered development or developmental delays, and that could be due to prematurity or something else. We have a wonderful program called the Child Health Improvement Project, or CHIP, and another program called Healthy Families is not in Charlottesville, but they have similar goals. They provide home visiting for these families with a home visitor as well as a nurse, and they alternate, and the home visitor may drive the family to appointments, may encourage them to do certain play activities with their children, and that's when I'm going to invite Susan to come up. Sorry, get it right. They have these family health workers and nurses that work with families. She can talk a little bit about this. Susan is a CHIP nurse, and she is also a graduate of our nursing school at UVA. And we're going to show you a video of a family. But before we do that, I just want to tell you there are other programs called Smart Beginnings, the Infant Development Project, there's Children, Youth, and Family Services in Charlottesville. All of these resources can influence and really do help families in ways when they're struggling, when they have issues like preterm birth or preterm, or maybe a problem pregnancy even. I just wanted to point out there are also state services. The state health department is very involved in lots of programs with the March of Dimes, and they provide grant money to localities that want to provide programs for their area. Women, Infants, and Children is a nutrition program for women who are pregnant and who are low income. Social Services helps a lot of families that have issues and have problems. And Medicaid can help pay for medical bills. And Resource Mothers. I want to also point out that a pregnant woman who is low income can receive prenatal care without very many questions asked. So that's actually a wonderful resource. And a lot of people don't know that. So if you have a friend or you know somebody who's pregnant and they're worried because they don't have enough money to go to the doctor, you can encourage them to go ahead and go anyway, and that there's probably a way that it will get paid for. Resource Mothers is a group of, and we don't have that in Charlottesville right now, but we have in the past. Resource Mothers is a program where women who have had children help younger women who are pregnant to get to their doctor's appointments, to help with their, get them through their pregnancy and be a confidant and a help to them. So those are some programs that you can find in a lot of different areas in Virginia and throughout the country, but these are just some ones that I thought you might be interested in seeing. Now, this is when I'm going to let Susan tell you. Susan is a master's prepared nurse from UVA, and the Spanish-speaking
I have absolutely nothing prepared whatsoever. But I've been sitting here watching and thinking about you all and thinking about the babies that we care for before they're even thought of. And I just was going to tell you that on my very first day of nursing school, they asked us to come up with an image of nursing. And the image that I came up with has really stuck with me and really pertains to what we're talking about tonight, and that was the image of a bridge. That a nurse provides a bridge from, families, and in my case within the community, and also in my case going, even deeper into the community to Spanish-speaking families who are somewhat hidden at times, to all these different resources that can help. Everything that Mary has mentioned, we help families connect to, and we're in their homes, we're in their lives, we have this relationship with them, we're very holistic, and you're going to see a wonderful story about what happens when the hospital and the community and programs like CHIP and all the other programs work together to help support a family, and I don't know any better way than to show it.
Yeah. Oh, no. It worked.
I got a way to get to it. Marie, go on the website.
That's where I got it from. But, all right, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just finish this, and then we'll go and we'll find the video. I also wanted to just say before we close that the March of Dimes got started in long time ago in the 1930s when President Roosevelt actually, who had polio, began